So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. James Thompson, who is our host for this evening. And let's get started, everybody. This is going
All
to be an
right.
exciting program.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone, to this safe and informative and, let's be honest, deliciously insightful space. I hope your team won last Sunday. I know my team did, uh, although it was a win-win situation as far as I was concerned. And how about that halftime show? Let's not go down that rabbit hole. We'll be scheduling a whole other town hall just to unpack all that stuff. Uh, to that end, happy Black History Month. A time to honor and reflect, and of course, keep learning like we're doing tonight. Now, this is our fourth and final town hall in this series, sponsored by Healthy Living with the Vision Foundation. And tonight, you're stuck with me as your MC. Why? Because our fabulous usual host, Chanel, just couldn't make it. But don't worry, we've got an incredible lineup for you. This treat is going to be a cooking demo from one of our very own, Dr. Kimberly Battle Miller. She's got some fantastic plant-based recipes to share, and we'll make her handout available on our website so you can try them yourself. And if that's not enough, we have Chef Dom, who is also on the scene tonight. As you know, he dropped some nuggets on us last week, and he's also prepared a handout that we will make available for you. So we're making sure you leave this space well informed and well fed, figuratively speaking. Now, a few virtual housekeeping notes. All of our Kickstart events were recorded and they will be available to you, but just give us some time. We need to edit them first. That our editor has a day job, and so it runs a little slow, but we will be posting those on our website. We have another Zoom Town Hall event coming up on Thursday, February 27th. Uh, that is going to be led by our very own CEO and founder of the foundation, Dr. Ansel Johnson. Then in March, we're bringing you Alopecia Part 2. You see, last year we had our Part 1, and we have felt since that time we have some unfinished business. This time we'll be having a psychologist on the panel, as well as our very own Dr. Angela Wheeler, and we plan to dig deeper into the topic. So stay tuned for that one. And one last thing, we encourage donations. No one in our foundation is getting paid for this work. And trust me, a lot goes into making these events happen, both virtual and in person. Every donation, big or small, helps us sustain and expand these efforts to better serve our communities. So if you're feeling generous or just guilty about how much knowledge you're getting for free, we appreciate your support. All right, let's get to it. Dr. Battle Miller is patiently awaiting the action signal. After her presentation, we'll take some questions and we'll hear a few words from Dr. Johnson. Put the questions in the chat for us, and then I'll wrap things up. So, Dr. Miller, take it away. Action.
All
Let's
right,
get cooking. All right.
well, let's get cooking. Everyone, good evening. Thank you for jumping in at the end of what's probably been a long, busy day. Um, I'm comfortable because Chef Dom is here, and so the recipes that I submitted, he actually helped improve them and make them even healthier, and I thank him for that. And I have even greater value in the meals that I'm bringing you. So I have to get through breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert in 30 minutes. So I'm going to jump in. We'll have the camera demo everything from above. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. They can be answered as we're going along or after each dish. And then we'll send out the presentation that has a couple more meals in it. So we'll start with one of my all-time favorites, a staple, the overnight oatmeals, overnight refrigerated oatmeal. So you can prepare your oatmeals at night. You can prepare them on Sunday and eat them throughout the week, or you can prepare one dish at a time. It starts with a mason jar. I just use a basic mason jar. This is maybe for 2 servings or 1 serving if you eat a lot. And then you have the larger jars that for me, this actually will last me for a week. So all you do is open your mason jar, and I have the ingredients on the screen where you can see them. And the recipes that went out, I think the first presentation had a lot of different optional things you could add. So here's a jar. Simply scoop in your oats, and I use about a cup of oats. And for me, it's 2 serving. For some, it's 1. My hands are clean. I don't have to tell you to wash your hands before you prepare your food. I put in my milk second and mix. So a cup of oats, a half a cup of milk, a 2/3 cup of milk. You'll start to learn the consistency that you like. I sprinkle in a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla extract, really just a 1/4 teaspoon. If you like it sweet, I use agave, and I don't like mine really sweet. I just put a little. If you're not vegan, some people will use honey, some people will use brown sugar, and then I love to top mine off then with some peanut butter. And I love crunchy peanut butter, and it just adds the added protein. And I just use the natural crunchy peanut butter, about a tablespoonful, maybe a half. And literally, you just mix it up. So peanut butter, cinnamon, vanilla extract, agave, milk, and your oats. You mix it up. The hardest part to mix is the peanut butter. If you don't like peanut butter, you can just leave it out. And then you can add fruit. I add my fruit in the morning. So sometimes I'll add bananas. Most often I add blueberries. And really you can just put the top on and shake it. Put it in the refrigerator overnight. And this is what you end up with. This is a double serving though. I doubled the serving, and it's nice, ready to go. Some people eat it cold. I can't dare eat oatmeal cold, but I have a girlfriend. She just grabs her jar and walk out. For me, I wake up, I stir mine in the morning, scoop it in a bowl, and I just heat it for about 30 to 40 seconds. And there you have your breakfast, overnight oatmeal. And you see how long that took, all of about 5 minutes. And now we're going to move down to lunch, and it smells very fragrant. Minimal starch on it. I just cooked it in the rice cooker, 1 cup of rice, 1.5 cups of water. And this is a power rice bowl. Add your rice. And while you all were sleeping, I sauteed some vegetables. And I just did a vegetable medley. I love red peppers, green peppers, orange peppers, yellow peppers. And then I sauteed some mushrooms and included the mushrooms. And then I added a little bit of the coconut liquid aminos, which is just no soy, no dairy product that contains the organic coconut blossom nectar, apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of sea salt. And all you do is scoop that vegetable mixture right on top, and then you have a little gravy. And that is your rice bowl. So you have mushrooms, peppers, brown rice, and a flavorful sauce. The aminos taste a little bit like soy sauce, but without all the extra sauce. So for the mushrooms, I just took mushrooms, just the regular button mushrooms, washed them a little bit, dried them, cut them in slices, put a little garlic in the skillet. And you could use fresh garlic. I just use minced garlic, a little bit of plant-based butter, melted it in the skillet, and added the mushrooms and just sauteed them until they were caramelized. And I use both the mushrooms in the mixture for lunch. And you'll see I'm going to use it in the mixture for dinner. So we're going to transition to dinner, to the chili. So we're going to do a meatless chili as well. So meatless, but with the consistency of meat. And what we use to bring the consistency of meat I actually use walnuts. Where did I learn that? I learned it last week from Dr. Dawn. And Chef Dom, I keep calling you doctor or pastor, so I think something might be changing in the future. But you just soak them in water for about 15 to 30 minutes, and then you pop them in a blender. You drain the water, pop them right in the blender, and it will create this mixture that actually looks like ground meat. And we're just going to mix it all together. So for the chili you see on the screen, we are using beans. We're using a seasoning. I use both northern great beans, kidney beans mixed together. I already have everything open. So we'll toss in our nuts that are ground. And I don't even have to use a food processor. I have this little bitty gadget right here. You just pop the nuts right in there, put this on there, push a button, and it crushes it for me. And I just did a pulse, like you said, Chef Dom. Just add our ingredients. Just adding the walnut.
Yes.
I pre-opened the beans. We have the red kidney beans. I drain the juice off. Northern beans, which look like white kidney beans. I left one really important ingredient that I'm gonna have to go in the refrigerator for.
Yeah.
A little bit of tomato paste,
Mhm. You want me
and
to
I
come
just
up
used a
with
small can, but it gives it
Yeah.
some richness.
Yeah, Chef Dom dropped some pearls on us that walnuts are a good substitute for meat.
Yeah.
Or mushrooms or hearts of palm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then I just use any kind of salsa. You can also use crushed tomatoes. You can use fresh tomatoes and peppers. But when I'm in a hurry in the evenings or in the morning, I just use the salsa to give my pepper, tomato, onion mix. And then I found a new seasoning. When Tabitha Brown, if you were watching any kind of healthy food show during the pandemic, she came up with all kind of healthy ideas and actually launched a larger business that now she's in all the stores. And I just use her taco seasoning because it's a no salt, it's salt free, but it's very flavorful and just enough spice. Okay, we have that. And last but not least, water. And I put about 2 cups of water in. And essentially, you mix it all up. And you cook it down. And I'll show you the end product. It cooks for about 30 minutes. I made some of the sauteed mushrooms I mentioned earlier that I added for my lunch. I put them on the side, I caramelized them, and I added those as well. I would add twice as much if I was making this batch. And it also will help improve the texture and the filling of meat. And then you pop it on the stove and you cook it. And I'll show you the end product because I made some yesterday, but I had to hide a bowl before it's all gone. And there's your meatless chili. Kidney beans, northern beans, tomato paste, salsa, uh, crushed walnuts, and pepper.
Those are just white button mushrooms.
I'm sorry, yeah, just regular button mushrooms.
Regular. Okay.
White. So last but not least is our quick and easy dessert. 2-ingredient banana ice cream. Let me get my little mixer. And it's as easy as that. So frozen bananas and milk. Everything else you add to it is extra. But I froze some bananas earlier today. I'm going to take them and put them in my blender. And I just use this little hand blender. It's made for smoothies on the go. And I would do thin slices and then they'll freeze in about an hour. And then I use oat milk. You can use the milk of your choice, but I love oat milk because it's nice and creamy. I use oat milk in my oatmeal as well. Put the lid on. If you like, you can add coconut powder. You can add strawberries. This is coconut powder, strawberries. And I made sure I purchased everything at Walmart so that you can see you can have this meal on the budget. The other thing I love to add are crushed walnuts as well. So I'll add this after I mix. And simply this little mixer just makes it nice and creamy. And that's it. I will take it. The banana is lovely because it makes it sweet. I use a ripe banana and it's just nice and creamy.
Yeah, an important point is to definitely slice it before you freeze it, because
Mhm.
you freeze that whole banana, it'll be a problem, especially an unpeeled
Yeah.
whole banana. So slice it up and then freeze it.
Unless you're using a larger food processor blender. And for me, I love to add nuts to mine. You can add other fruits, blueberries, and then there you have it. Banana ice cream, banana nut ice cream for me.
Yeah, they
And
call it
so
nice
how long?
nice cream. They call it nice cream in some areas, but yeah, it's great.
And so we have a full day's meal. And how long did that take? Anybody check the timer?
30 minutes, less than
30
30
minutes.
minutes. Actually,
Yeah.
about
And,
28 minutes,
Yeah.
28, 27 minutes.
and what I did is right before we started the show, I started the rice cooker so the rice would be nice and fresh. One of the things Chef Dom taught me is that with the rice cooker, if you don't want to do the vegetable medley, then you can just, when your rice is finished cooking, as soon as it's done, throw in some frozen peas or frozen vegetables, and the steam while it's sitting and waiting on you to prepare the meal will cook the vegetables just perfectly, the frozen peas just perfectly. So that's an option too.
And from
And
a
now we are
nutrition,
open. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just say from a nutrition standpoint, that's very good as far as the frozen vegetables. Some people think, well, they're not as fresh, but they're usually taken right off the vine and frozen. So a lot of their nutrients are frozen right in, as opposed to even when veggies are taken from one part of the country and have to travel several days to your market, and then they're on your they're out in produce for a number of days. So never hesitate to use frozen vegetables. And by not putting them in at the beginning and putting them in towards the end to let them lightly cook from the steam, you're preserving a lot of the B vitamins, which are very heat sensitive. And folate is heat sensitive. Vitamin C is heat sensitive. A lot of these green veggies have vitamin C. So this is an excellent way not only to cook your food and have tasty food, but to be able to extract the nutrition. So that's great.
We're ready for question. And I have to eat the ice cream, you all, because it'll be melted when I finish. So I'll have to answer questions, or the team will answer questions while I finish snacking on this delicious banana ice cream.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's not fair.
And while people are thinking about questions, I'll say this too about ice cream. Like my wife has kind of frowned on on banana as a dessert, banana ice cream, because she thinks, the banana will overtake, that banana flavor will overtake whatever you put in it, whether it's strawberry, chocolate, whatever. But the thing about it is when it's frozen, it kind of neutralizes that sensitivity of taste for banana. So you don't tend to get it overwhelming at all. You just get this creamy texture that's like the ice cream we grew up eating, and then it takes on the flavor of whatever you put in it. So, and that's why ice cream actually, dairy ice cream actually tastes so good. It's frozen, so you don't get the real taste. I don't know if you've ever eaten some dairy ice cream after it's melted. I mean, really come to room temperature. It's disgusting. so so really that cold neutralizing process tends to allow that creamy texture, but then to take on whatever fruit flavor you put in. So it's a great dessert to go to. There's a question here about what type of milk did you use?
Oat milk. I'll show you.
Okay.
There's one I use. It's nice and creamy. There are a lot of different brands. But my granddaughter was allergic to whole cow milk. She had eczema. And so we started using this Chobani.
Okay. And people can
And
use any
I
kind of
like
milk
the
they
extra
choose.
creamy. You can use
Yeah.
soy milk. Some people
there's,
use
yeah,
coconut water in a lot of things, coconut milk. Yeah.
yeah. The coconut milk, if you choose that, is a little less healthy because it just like coconut oil, there's a lot of saturated fat in it. So it's not the healthiest choice. Whether you're talking about the meat of the coconut or the coconut milk, you get a significant amount of saturated fat. But the other plant-based milks are a little healthier, which oat milk, soy milk. If you're allergic to nuts, you want to stay away from walnut and cashew milk. And even if you're allergic to peanuts, stay away from the peanut based milk too. But they can make milk out of almost anything. And even if you have nut allergies, oat milk would be okay. And as well as hemp milk.
Mm.
That's great. I also, any other questions on that? I do want to recognize Dr. Millicent Knight, who's also on the line, and she also has great ideas for recipes too. But let's get to Dr. Battle Miller's. Any other questions on a full day's worth of meals, plant-based, in less than 30 minutes?
And you can actually prep meals one day a week. Like this rice cooker, I put a couple cups of rice instead of one, and I can do four lunches in a day. And hence you see all of these little black containers because I actually pack and freeze and just pull them out. By the time you get to work, they're nice and thawed and ready to go. The peppers freeze nicely as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Certain plants you come back to tend to even be healthier, like potato-based meals. So something about when you cook potatoes and then cool them and then come back to them, maybe potato salad, vegan potato salad or something like that, you actually have more uh, resistant starch. And so, yeah, 2, 3 day old potatoes that you put in the fridge that you come back to actually has more of the food that your microbiome loves to feed on. So, the problem with potatoes isn't the carbs. There's complex carbs in potatoes. The problem with potatoes is how we generally have eaten them with sour cream and cheese and bacon bits and things like that, which gives you like 5 steps backwards versus 2 steps forwards for eating a healthy plant.
Mm.
And the other thing is tomatoes have an antioxidant in it called lycopene, which is more available for antioxidation for its nutritional value when it's cooked. So when you make those tomato sauces, things like, or use that tomato in the chili, you're getting not only nutrition from the beans and the veggies you put in there, that those lycopenes from the tomato are cardiac saving. So,
Mhm.
and when they eat, they actually are more nutrition.
And I would say, but you, Chef Dom and Dr. Thompson, you were talking about making bacon out of mushrooms. You want to talk a little bit about that? You all, before this recipe and Chef Dom convincing me to try mushrooms, I always use tofu or jackfruit as my protein meat base. But now I'm a believer. And I want to try the bacon. So if you can repeat the bacon recipe.
Yeah, I may let Chef Don. I'll just say this. I saw it on, it may have been YouTube, and it looked like bacon. I can almost imagine the smell like bacon because even though I don't eat pork, beef, or any meat, it doesn't mean I still don't have those deep down cravings every now and then. Some bacon, especially when I go out to eat with some family that's still eating it. But I know better. I quickly snap back into my real self. So the thing is that, yeah, there's some mushrooms, and I'll let you got me calling him doctor. I'll let Chef Dom take a stab at this. But I know there's a certain kind of mushrooms that are come really large that you slice, and then how you prepare them can make them taste like bacon. Chef Dom, you want to enter into this discussion?
Most definitely. Look, y'all gonna have me go back to school just so I can get a doctorate. So, then you'll be able to. All right. But yes, so typically we'll use the king trumpet oyster mushrooms. Those are the ones with the bigger stock or base, the stem. It's a big stem. The cap on that mushroom is usually, not as big, but the stem of that mushroom is what you're going to use to make this mushroom bacon. And essentially, you'll take it, cut the cap off, and then you'll make slices depending on how thick you want your bacon to be. Um, and after you slice it, you'll marinate it. Whatever sweetener you use, you'll put some of that sweetener in there. Um, a little bit of water. I would say start with maybe a eighth or a quarter of a cup, depending on how many mushrooms you got. Um, I like to put pepper in mine, so I'll get some peppercorns, some whole peppercorns, or I'll just crush them, maybe a couple times. Um, Throw some garlic in there, a little bit of paprika, some smoked paprika. Again, these are the things that give bacon its flavor that we're used to having. And then from there, you let it soak, and you'll either put it in the air fryer, put it in a skillet on a pan, put it in the oven to roast it. And I'm gonna let Doc talk about the usage of the oil and the usage of the salt, but from a culinary standpoint, right? Fat is what's going fat when you're dealing with plant-based food is what's going to help the flavors hold to your vegetable, because vegetables don't have fat, right? And so when you think about when you're cooking meat, the fat in that meat is what heats up and adds to holding the flavors, holding the herbs and spices to the meat. So that's something to consider. And then, again, just you don't want to start with putting a whole bunch of salt on anything. You want to salt to taste always. But yeah, that's the general idea of king trumpet mushrooms as bacon.
I'll be trying that next. And that's from
Most
somebody who
definitely.
refused to eat mushrooms. So I'm all in now.
I mean, look, and so you cut them up. You had a nice dice on them. Um, you doing the thing. You doing the thing, Doc.
Thank you, Chef. Thank you for that video.
And mushrooms are
Definitely.
so healthy. I mean, it's really, you can pick your mushrooms. They all have such great things to bring to the table, so to speak, um, as far as various nutrients that can inhibit some of the estrogen cycle there, the aromatase enzyme that tends to create more estrogen. There's an inhibitor in a lot of these mushrooms. Um, you should cook in most circumstances. You should cook mushrooms. You don't have to overcook them or cook them very long. You can within a minute or so cook off this. I think it's called agaritine. This toxin. So that's why I don't eat raw mushrooms at a buffet or anything because I like them to be at least slightly cooked. But they have a lot to offer you as far as for health. You even get a little vitamin D in some of these mushrooms. It's really a
Mhm.
great additive for your food.
And just to add one more thing when it comes to the mushrooms, adding the mushrooms to any type of vegan ground, um, you know, meat that you're going to do, that adding that to the blender part, or the pulsing part, that's going to add texture as
Mhm.
well, right? So when you
Mhm.
mix it in there, you've got your walnut, that's in there. Add a little bit of mushroom in there to kind of give it that, that little, we call it that tooth. Uh, that's that's what it's called. But definitely it'll give that to it. And then don't forget, going along with making it a complete, protein, if you want to say, adding some type of legume to that same mixture, right? That you saw Doctor, make when she put that in with the walnuts, going into the chili, adding some chickpeas to that mixture, or adding, red beans if that's what you're using to that mixture. It's just going to help bring it all together. And so once it's cooked, then it's going to have that real good feel. And as I'm talking, I'm just remembering some other things. After you make your mixture, a good thing to do is to put it in the refrigerator and let it kind of come together a little bit, right? Um, it all comes together. It comes to be a little bit more cohesive. You could try doing that.
Do you have any other final words, Dr. Miller?
I do not. I just want you all to
Okay.
know the only thing I had to prepare ahead of time was the rice and sauteing the mushroom and the peppers. But otherwise, the time you see to put each dish together, that's really how long it takes. 5 to 10
Okay.
minutes, and then the 30 minutes to cook the chili.
And what type of oatmeal did you use?
I use the rolled oats. I know some people prefer the instant, but the overnight seems to work best with the rolled oat. And no particular brand. I just use the rolled oats, the ones that take longer to cook, the originals.
Yeah, those are good. There's a spectrum of oats that goes from very nutritional to much less nutritional. And at the end of that side of much less nutritional are instant oatmeal. That's where instant oatmeal comes in the packets, has sugar and all kinds of other chemicals in it. That's the least healthy form of oatmeal you can use. The flakes are really fine, so you don't even get that delayed sugar absorption that you would get from, from less processed oatmeal. But the least processed is called oat groats, which I found hard to find, and you have to cook them the longest. And then comes steel cut oats, which I mostly use. And then comes rolled oats. Now the oat groats, the steel cut oats, and the rolled oats have a significant amount of fiber and nutrients in it. They have iron, they have other minerals in them. Fiber, as I mentioned, they can lower your blood pressure, help to lower your cholesterol. But when you get past that to like the 1 minute oats and the instant oats, you have really taken away a lot of the momentum of having something very nutritional. So that's something to keep in mind. Wonderful presentation. Thanks so much for all of this, Dr. Miller.
Thank you. And thanks, Chef Dom. I was going to just request one more information from Chef Dom about, I use the brown jasmine rice because it smells good, it tastes good, but you had talked about using barley and other substitutes for the rice. So I don't know if you want to mention that again.
I did. So, you know, the idea is to add a different type of grain into your diet. So if you're using, regular jasmine rice, then I would say maybe add a barley or add a farro, um, add a kamut. These are just other types of grain. It is wheat, so if you have, gluten allergies, it is still a wheat. So you just want to make sure you check that out. But yeah, just adding that. There's red rice. There's the wild rice. There's different types of grains that have additional nutritional benefits. And again, it's just about adding diversity to your diet. That diversity, your body is going to take that. I don't want to say it like this, but in my mind, this is how it works. The same way that when you go and take a booster shot or something for a virus, they're putting some part of that into you, and your body now knows what it is able to recognize it, and then is able to deal with it. So I view adding diverse, things to your diet as the same thing. Your body is getting something that it doesn't normally get, and now it's able to deal with it, and it might be the one thing that you might need. So yeah, definitely different types of grains. And if I can, real quick, I was just thinking about going back to the ice cream, the nice cream. Something that you might want to try is, potentially adding a eighth or a fourth of a piece of avocado to that. I know it might sound, avocado is sweet, but you know, that avocado is gonna help with that creaminess. Avocado is gonna give you, you know, some healthy fat. Um, and then, you know, chocolate and avocado, believe it or not, go very well together. So yeah, you know, you might want to try that out as well.
You're absolutely
That'll be
right. I've
tomorrow's
actually tried that.
dessert.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
avocado is incredible in that setting. You can make it taste like it can have a texture and taste like a pudding because of the
Mhm.
creaminess. It's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. In the
Mhm.
chat it says let's see, thank you. Let's see. What about gluten-free oats? So the thing about oats, and you want to be concerned about gluten if you had celiac disease, which is the height of being gluten sensitive. It takes just a crumb to throw you into sometimes an inflammatory phase. Or you can be just gluten intolerance, where you just cross maybe eating 2 slices instead of 1 slice of bread, and you have problems. Either way, gluten causes you a problem. But the thing about oats is they don't generally break down to gluten, but they are often processed where wheat products are processed. So there can be tiny little particles of wheat in oats, unless they say they're gluten free. I know red meal has a gluten free oats. So people that have that concern about gluten, they want to make sure the label says gluten free oats.
Excellent point.
Okay.
And then Dr. Thompson, as we're wrapping up this section, I just want to tell a little bit about my story because people become plant-based or vegan for various reasons. And for me, it was for health reasons. For whatever reason, for years, from childhood up until I finally caught a clue in my 40s, I was having lots of bloating, pain after meals, and I did a process of elimination, taking things out of my diet, and it finally boiled down to it was meat that was the issue. So I'm vegetarian not because I don't like meat. I actually love bacon, but I'm vegetarian because I finally just was over the pain and it became unnecessary, especially once I learned how to use all the seasoning that we learned about last year, um, and the herbs and spices and just making your food flavorful. So I'm a vegetarian for health reasons, but I'm so glad I did. I would caution people, a lot of people become vegetarian to lose weight. If you're an unhealthy vegetarian, you'll do as I did and gain 15 pounds until someone educates you. And that was my first year on Healthy Living with a Vision 3 years ago. Why I figured out while I was gaining all that weight when I learned to cook cleaner plant-based food. So instead of processed plant-based food. But that's my story. I just want to share with others as you're thinking about it. It's easy to make the change and you can make it gradual, as Dr. Thompson said. I just gave up bacon last year. So, but now I have it back. I'm going to find me some king mushrooms. I'm done, Dr. Thompson. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank
I
you.
hand
Thank
it over.
yeah. Thanks so much for that wonderful presentation. Obviously, you went through a lot of trouble to do this, so we really appreciate it. And we're getting a lot of positive feedback in the chat also. So thank you. Well, if you've been following our town hall series, you know we've covered a lot, from the power of plant-based eating to eye health to expert cooking tips, and making healthy eating actually taste good. So we're gonna um, we're gonna go to Dr. Johnson for a couple of minutes, and then I will wrap up this process and let you go. So Dr. J.
I want to thank everybody. And again, the amount of work behind this whole project has been immense, but it's also been a labor of love for all of us. We've all always learning something new and different and fresh. And to give you a good vision, pardon the pun, on how we can live more healthily. Um, I talked about in my presentation, salutogenesis, and it's like, which is the study of what makes you healthy. And it starts with what we eat. And that's exactly what we're about, Healthy Living with a Vision Foundation. And again, I want to double down on, we need your support to expand this project even more. And One of the things I want to talk about coming up later on this summer in late July, early August, we are narrowing our dates, is our golf outing, our first golf outing. So those of you that are golfers, we'd love to, or no golfers, keep in mind, check on our website periodically. But also, we're going to do something a little bit different. At that golf outing, we're going to be having some health related events. And again, other opportunities to learn some things. It might be heart health, it might be alopecia, it might be diabetes, how to manage your health. It might be, wait for it, cooking demonstration, plant-based. But later on in the fall, just to kind of throw a tease out there, because we've talked about this, who would love to see Chef Dom come from California to Chi-Town for uh, as a fundraiser? Some people could come by and actually get some of his goods and actual taste some of his dishes, plant-based dishes. That's just a tease for you guys. Also, we need a lot of help. We need people to join one of our committees. We have various committees. If you will be willing to help us out in any kind of way, just a little bit of your time, for help us out with events like this, some of our in-person events that we're going to be having. As the year goes on, as our calendar gets fuller and fuller, please put your email in the chat. And we'd love to send you a packet and see which committee you'd like to help us out with. And then I'm going to turn this back over to our host, Dr. Thompson, here in a minute. But we've done some phenomenal work, and we thank you all for your support. I want to remind everybody on February 27th, we're going to have another Zoom on vision impairment. And a lot of times people go to the eye doctor, they might have a relative or a parent, a grandparent, and they may be legally blind, but there's so much technology and things that we can do to help these people where your regular glasses can't help anymore. Might have been an old injury, or they have lost their sight from glaucoma or diabetes. There's a lot of good technology and specialists that can help people function better and live a fuller life, even with vision impairment. So legal blindness does not mean all you see is black, but there's a whole realm of sight that people can have that can be enhanced. So the flyer's up on our website. Please register. We'd love to see you there. You'll learn a whole bunch of stuff. We have, again, another national panel of experts talking about living your best life with vision impairments and some of the technologies that are coming down the pipeline. And with that, I want to thank everybody. You all have been a tremendous blessing on this. It's been a labor of love. So Dr. Thompson, please take us away.
Sure. I was looking in the chat here. We got some activity. We got hands up. So we got to make sure we get this down now. I'm seeing some a family hand up, cat hammer. And let's see. We also, and Tammy, she's family also. I got some family coming through here. All right. Tammy wants to know, can the chef make it to Vegas? I guess the chef will answer that. Let's see. Great information. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. J, for the vision of this foundation and being such a great leader. Well, the big picture. What is the big picture? We started with one key truth. The more minimally processed plants you eat, the healthier you'll be. And that's because of the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, and antioxidant fuel for your gut microbiome. And it also keeps inflammation in check. And just as important, it's about your not eating highly processed foods, like highly processed meat and ultra processed foods in general. We learned what you eat affects your vision and the overall health of your eyes. Those green and yellow veggies, along with vitamin C and turmeric and omega-3s, can go a long way. This all spells plant-based, but lest we not forget the importance of adequate sleep, exercise, and stress management. Our top chef says your best friend is a good knife, and how you slice your food matters. He also said there's good substitutes for meat, such as mushrooms, walnuts, and hearts of palm. And Dr. Miller wrapped it all up with her cooking demo tonight, putting a bow tie on the mission. So thanks again, Dr. Miller. So where do you go from here? Increase your plant-based servings gradually every 1 to 2 weeks and adding more fruits and veggies and whole grains and legumes from your list until you're well into those double digits per day. Decrease the meat, eggs, and dairy to the lowest level you can. I'm convinced that once you're over 10 servings of plant-based foods, giving up meat is going to be less difficult. The cravings will die down. Start with one meatless day per week, which is where you should be now, and then increase from
Oh,
there.
I got a
And on
question. I
days
know
you
you're
still
excited.
have meat, make it the side dish instead of the main event. Other news, my first book will be launched next month. It's entitled Fearless Wellness, Transforming Your Life One Step at a Time. It will include an appendix of recipes from none other than Chef Dom to get you started. We'll send an email blast when the official launch date is set. That will be sometime next month. But keep an eye on our foundation website for updates. Your tips, your tips for this week: continue to learn about whole food plant-based eating by frequenting websites like pcrm.org, nutritionfacts.org, healthylivingwithavision.org, and watch the movie Forks Over Knives. Again, watch that movie Forks Over Knives. I believe it's on Netflix, but Google can tell you where it is. It's been a catalyst for change for a lot of people. Thank you all for being here. We're looking forward to seeing you at the next town hall. And I'd like to take us out with a prayer. So if you could just bow your heads, and I will lead us off into the twilight zone with a prayer. All right. Heavenly Father,
I see
we
you.
come we come before you with gratitude for this time of learning and sharing and growing together. Thank you for the wisdom you've shared, that we've been able to share together. Thank you for the 4 sessions, for the knowledge that empowers us to care for our bodies, and for the hands that have prepared and demonstrated the goodness of nourishing food. We are grateful for the insights on how plant-based living can strengthen not just our bodies, but also our vision, both physically and in the greater sense of seeing a healthier future for ourselves and our communities. May we take what we've learned and put into action, honoring the gift of health that you have given us. Bless everyone who participated, from our speakers to our attendees, and may this knowledge continue to inspire change, healing, and wholeness. Guide us as we move forward, making choices that sustain both our well-being and the world around us. And may we especially have peace in the Middle East. In your name, Father, we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
And everyone,
Good
as a
night.
follow-up, you will get an email, just a follow-up summation, and actually just to ask for your donations. So keep in communication.